Okay, recording this video after close of trade Wednesday, 16th of November 2011. Well, that was a pretty exciting afternoon. Let's just have a look at these charts. Daily chart of the E-mini we closed down at 12.30. I think the top to bottom move was something like 30 points at the end there. About 2.1 million contracts traded, and we've dropped through this pullback support level on the daily chart. Let me just roll you through the sine wave. Now, I've been talking about this for a while. Weekly chart, we've got cyclical resistance kind of coming up, and normally when I'm looking at higher time frames, I'm looking for cyclical moves in the higher time frames coinciding with trend moves in the lower time frames. So we've got a cycle here on the weekly chart. This corresponding lowest time frame corresponding with a weekly chart is the 135-minute chart. And here we've had our pullback to end of trend sequence and now a second cyclical turn after end of trend. Both of these overshoots have failed. You see this first one after end of trend failed and we came back. Second, they tried to overshoot here and has come back, and this is the last couple of hours of the afternoon where we just sold off super hard. I know we've got kind of support coming up, but after the exhaustion selling at the end of today, we've got to make some bullish divergence bands before this thing kind of slows down on those higher time frames. But I'll show you that. And then on the daily chart, it just means that we've dropped through this pullback support level here. So things are getting pretty interesting. When we go to the trend line charts, we've been in congestion, so for quite a while, probably about almost 2 weeks now, where the congestion zones have just kind of come closer together, the rising and falling trend lines. White congestion zone signal yesterday, and then today we kind of closed underneath the trend line, so we've signaled the first break into a trend line downtrend move, so pretty exciting there. On better X trend on the daily chart, I'm looking at this at ES rather than at ES.D, just because it gives me a better sense of kind of the exhaustion plays. You can see here the last kind of 3 exhaustion plays. So today was an exhaustion down bar, but we've had that a couple of times previously. And from these, you can have bounces. It can be flushing out, the sellers at this point from which we bounce. So, the line in the sand is at 1260. So if tomorrow or the next day this kind of holds, we reverse and we go back over 1260, then I'd say this kind of testing period that we've had over the last 2 weeks with these really strong exhaustion selling signals, they've kind of flushed out all the sellers, and we'll have a strong rally if we get back above 1260. But what's going to be interesting tomorrow is, do we just give way at this support and just keep on going? So tomorrow is going to be a very interesting day. In terms of the indices, just wanted to show this. So I've been talking about this where we get kind of overshoots in lower time frames being caught by trend cycle moves in higher time frames. So on the daily charts of, for example, here this is the Dow, you see we've been overshooting this resistance level here, just overshot it by a little bit. If you look at that on a weekly chart, it's being caught, if you like, by the resistance level that's coming in on the pullback there. So this kind of overshoots a little bit and just gets caught. So rather than this kind of breaking into a trend move, because it could still do that, we've got support kind of due on these daily time frames. It could get caught and kind of turn into an uptrend, but it's effectively being sandwiched between the resistance on the weekly chart and the resistance being above the resistance level on the daily chart here. And the last couple of moves testing these highs, these are amateur up bars, trying to buy a breakout. I mean, we had nothing with Veterans Day last week, and then Monday was really slow, and all these amateur bars here. And if you keep on going through, so this is the S&P, same thing, it's kind of same picture. And you look at on the weekly chart, that's the 500, here we go. So cyclical resistance kind of coming in here. And then if we look at the NASDAQ, again, these little amateur up bars here, trying to buy a breakout, didn't happen. It's slightly different here because we've got support kind of come in, and we could be falling through that support, but then on the weekly chart on the NASDAQ, you can see we've got weekly resistance has kind of come in. So it's an important kind of juncture. Then just looking at the other markets, the bigger markets, so dollar index, see dollar indexes, I mean, I've been talking about this for months. where we had all this kind of basing pattern down at 74, exhaustion, selling, and then we come back to test, and each time, you know, we had this whole pattern of bullish divergence signals here, and then a final kind of flush, you know, exhaustion selling signal here, kind of flushing the sellers out as we came back to test 75. Blue amateur bar into the lows, tiny little amateur bar after that, sorry, blue professional bar into the lows, buying those lows, and because we broke the highs, that's professional buying at the bottom of this move, and then kind of buying the breakout. The last series of tests down, so amateur down bar into this little wedge pattern, kind of break above it, then test again, amateur down bar here, and we kind of, that was again on Friday, Veterans Day, small little test back down, and we've kind of gone above it. Now on this chart, you see we've got this resistance. We're breaking above resistance on the daily chart, so we could be moving into a trend move on dollar index. Then you start looking at the bonds, same thing, 30-year bonds, and again Friday, amateur down bar, same pattern, you know, it's like, you know, blue professional bar into the lows, 136. We know that was buying into there because it's broken above the highs and kept on going. Another amateur professional up bar here, and so we haven't broken the lows, but every time we've come back into that acquisition zone, it looks like it's been bought up because we've not broken the lows, and that little amateur down bar is suggesting that's just a little test down, and we're kind of looking like we're trying to break through this resistance level on the 30-year chart. On the 10-year, again, same thing, we've broken into an uptrend here, the amateur down bar testing, we're breaking above the high of that. Here's that blue professional bar kind of holding here on the 5-year. We found a little bit of weakness of the Rambo pattern here, but we kind of came into, again, that amateur down bar. Same sequence, there's that blue professional bar kind of buying those lows. We take off the upside, and we're still in that kind of acquisition kind of zone in here. You know, need to see a kind of a break above here, but I think could be getting pretty interesting kind of going forward. Let me just pull up the 40,500 tip bar chart. Bit messy here. Let me just clean this up quickly. Okay, so here we go on the 40,500 tip bar chart. This last kind of move up that we had with exhaustion buying up here, we sold off hard, exhaustion selling down here, blue professional bars coming into the lows, testing again, rallied back. The rally back has been really weak up to this point here, and then we test back into it again yesterday with an exhaustion buying signal at the end of Tuesday, and then today, you know, overnight was unbelievable. The 20-point kind of moves backwards and forwards overnight before the open, and then we've spent, you know, most of the day making this very slow. It's actually a complex correction on the way up, kind of into these highs at 1260, and then bang, we kind of just fall through the ice here. We'd had the exhaustion buying yesterday, and these were flush signals coming into these highs today, and then finally just, you know, all hell broke loose. We broke through that support. We're into a downtrend. Now it's signaled pullback in a downtrend, so we've got end of trend to make, but this exhaustion selling signal down here, you know, before this stops, we've got to see kind of bullish divergence patterns on, you know, at least the 13,500 tip bar chart. So going to the 13,000, this was the overnight activity, these 20-point ranges backwards and forwards, unbelievable. And then there's those flush signals kind of coming in. The final move up to here was bearish divergence, just showing very weak buying at that point, and then bang, just those breaks through support. Blue professional bar kind of getting the move going. Those are just professionals selling down as this thing gathered steam. We've had exhaustion selling on the downside, but you know, this has got a little bit of a ways to go. And then the 4,500 tip bar chart, just compress this. This was yesterday, all the blue professional bars on the close of yesterday after that exhaustion buying into those highs, and then we had this extraordinary pattern overnight. Got caught with supports as we, you know, had professionals kind of buying into these lows a couple of times, and then we finally kind of got this move moving. But this was a complex correction. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, you know, just batting backwards and forwards between cyclical highs and lows. No trend moves here. That was a complex correction. So we got downtrend started, complex correction, downtrend continues. We had the exhaustion buying going into this leg here, and then coming into this final push just to freak everybody out, kind of new highs for the day. It was a flush signal there right at the top, bang, and then we just, that's all the professionals. As soon as we broke support here, selling short. So we've still got pullback to end of trend to make on the 4,500 tip bar chart. We've had our exhaustion selling at this point here, kind of getting this move going. So let's see if this kind of stops at some point tomorrow, but it's going to be an interesting night. And then just going to my day trades on the 1500 tip bar chart. I'll put up a couple of these. So here we go, 1500 tip bar chart, which is kind of my primary time frame for taking signals. I found the beginning of the day really tricky because we didn't have a kind of a strong direction kind of going, and you'll often find this with amateur bars kind of marking the ranges. So amateur up bar, it happened to be a Rambo, we kind of go the other way. Amateur down bar down here. You'll see that in all kinds of different time frames. It just shows a consolidation zone that we're in, and the amateurs are buying the breakouts or selling the breakdowns here, and then kind of reverse and go the other way. So I'd lost a couple of points coming into this move, but then got long at 43.25 and took 4 points into this move here, which was nice. And then this move kind of ended with exhaustion buying, bearish divergence, pullback to end of trend. It was kind of pretty messy this whole time, but you could see all the blue professional bars kind of coming in. And then found it difficult in this kind of ranging area here to kind of get my senses whether we were actually breaking into a downtrend. Although cyclical support was holding after exhaustion selling, we had bullish divergence signals kind of coming in here, and another exhaustion selling signal down here, and these were not breaking into trend moves on the way down. And so I was trying to get short, hoping for trend breaks, and it just didn't happen. But then finally realized my mistake after we had bullish divergence started to come in here. We had a blue professional bar that initially kind of got broken, then the break of the highs got taken out here, and all of a sudden we're into an uptrend here. So I was able to get on board this uptrend here. Took only 2.5 points in this move, which was just dumb because my target would have got hit easily. I think I got out here instead of just anyway. It was stupid to just getting out way too early. But this move was kind of good to the end of trend and then started to reverse, and you can see exhaustion buying, bearish divergence as the move kind of loses steam. We've got blue professional bars taking profits at the highs, and then the pullback to end of trend being led by the amateurs. Beautiful, right into Rambo pattern right at the top there at the end of trend. Very weak buying going on, bearish divergence, and then bang, just kind of sells off there. So for me, 7 trades, 3.5 points. Came out ahead, which is kind of good. I'm happy with that, but it was scrappy. I think the market was scrappy to start with, and then after that, I've had my fill. Decided to stop for the day, and was looking at that kind of collapse in the afternoon. Wasn't trading it, but wasn't that something just extraordinary where it just gave way into almost like a 30-point move top to bottom. Anyway, I'll tag on a couple of those trades. Hope you traded well today. Long 43.25. And let's try this again. So here we go. Okay, now I'm just moving out my target to 48.25. So alright, so on the 1500 tip bar chart, amateur up bar, amateur down bar, just showing this really big range. Oh, now it's coming down again. They just can't decide what to do. We've got housing coming out at 9, but no, so this is just a big consolidation zone. We're just waiting to break out, and I think that was all accumulation on the lows by the professionals. That was a test down, amateur down bar here. Okay, 5,000 on better momentum, so getting ready hopefully for a launch above 45. No flushes just coming on 500 tip bar chart, but okay, blue professional bar, we're breaking above the high of that. I think this is just kind of getting this move going. I don't think that's flushing out the last of the buyers. It's not the right place. I just moved my target out to 50.25. Got a 2 3/4 point loss to make up, and if I've got the trend direction right, we'll probably get to 50.25. I think this high pre-open was about 49.5. What am I looking for? Yep, 49.5. So okay, here we go. We're just holding underneath 44.5. So there we go into a breakout. No blue professional bars yet. This is rush for the doors. Kind of just getting on board this move quickly, but the professionals haven't taken profits yet. So we're into an uptrend on the 500 tip bar chart, maybe an uptrend on 1500 tip bar chart. So let's hold on and see if we get to 50.25. Alright, we have pro signal go off on the 1500 tip bar chart here. Blue professional bar exhaustion buying. It's about 6 or 7,000 on better momentum, but Still going to hold on. Think it could run a little bit more. Not seen blue professional bars on the highs on 45, and you know, pull back to end of trend on the 500. So let's see. Still holding on. Okay, a minute later, pull back and an uptrend's gone off 500 tip bar chart. Blue professional bar coming down into it. So hopefully that'll hold. Cyclical resistance probably going to come on the 4500 tip bar chart in a second, but still think it's worth holding because we've got pullback to end of trend to make here. I know this is pretty extreme now with 3 exhaustion buying signals, but you know, it's not as if we've found new highs. That could be just kind of buying this blowout move, and here we go, blue professional bar up bar as we're breaking above the highs of that. So I'm guessing on this little pullback, that's the professionals just buying the breakout. There's resistance gone off on 45, so we'll break hopefully above that. So we're in an uptrend, or the ends of this little leg of an uptrend on 500, but could be breaking into one on the 15. So let's get above 46.5 and have another little bit of a rush to 50. Here we go. Okay, well that was a bit scary. Kind of came back almost to entry point. I think Byron emailed me the other day, called that kind of move a crazy Ivan, which I like a lot. So we had bearish divergence coming on the 500 tip bar chart and just went bang right through pullback level. Amateur down bar at the bottom. Blue professional bar kind of comes in, and we're buying the highs of this. So maybe that was just them kind of good opportunity to get into it and just taking it up again. But let's see. You know, it's like, you know, on the higher time frame charts. I'm not in love with a long position because of this exhaustion buying yesterday. Coming up to cyclical resistance on 13,000 at some point. Now it's coming back down again. You know, they're just playing with you. Pros love freaking you out. I mean, if you're working with 1 or 1.5 point stops, it's impossible. So okay, we're coming back down to entry. See, I mean, normally these don't turn around. Okay, that was blue professional bar there. Normally these don't turn around until we get bearish divergence on the 1500 tip bar chart. So, you know, we're coming back up again. I mean, who knows? But they're just kind of pushing, just testing that, and then kind of just coming back up to make sure this will be a valid break where all the sellers have sold. So plus by doing that you get people kind of going short, and then as soon as we break the highs they got to reverse and go long, so that'll propel it through 46 if we get back to it. So still holding out. So here we go, we're just sitting under that high, and there's always going to be a little bit of technical weakness there as people kind of trying to sell a double, triple top or whatever, but as soon as we break through it for the next, you know, half a point, 3/4 of points, there'll be a whole bunch of stops there. Let's see them get run. There we go. You know, jumped up a point in you know, short order. Maybe a few more to go. Yeah, there we go. So alright, so now we've broken out, so we're coming back up. So, yep, so let's, you know, 50.25, let's see, you know, we okay, pull back in an uptrend's just gone off on 1500 tip bar chart. Okay, so we're playing pull back to end of trend on the 1500 tip bar chart. So as long as we got that behind us, you know, with this uptrend, we should be safe. So let's see if 50 gets hit. Okay, now end of trend's gone off on the 1500 tip bar chart and bearish divergence. Amateur down bar though, so we're still kind of cracking on. So I mean, 47.25 was the original target, so at 4 points target I'd be out right now, so I'm getting greedy. Blue professional bar is just coming on the 1500 tip bar chart. Let's see if we get another little pulse up, but I could easily pull this in from 50.25 down to 49.25 or more, but let's see if we get another little pulse up. 25. 47.25 for 4. Could have got out at 48.25, but just didn't want to break, and I'm, you know, kind of overstaying my welcome here. We've got end of trend, another blue professional bar kind of came in at the highs. Okay, look at this, and with a down bar in that lows, and it's just kind of coming back a little bit. Maybe it's going to keep on going, but I've had quite a lot of selling in that last little bit, so potentially all the sellers temporarily have sold, and we will kind of keep on going up. But no, maybe not. We'll see. So that's 4, but I'm sitting on a loss of 2 3/4. So I've still got some more work to do. So let's see when the next entry kind of pops up.